Welcome to Let's Talk. Today we are talking to Cole, and we are going to speak about a trilogy of 3 books that are very dear to us. I hope you're going to enjoy this episode. Let's talk. Welcome. I am so happy and grateful that we are talking together about, for me, my purpose is to remember who I am, as to help others remember to do the same. And we both have a beautiful connection and love for 3 beautiful books. That, I want to ask you to please share on your purpose, your mission and vision, and maybe share a little on the 3 books and your experience with them.
Okay. Yes, so the 3 books we are talking about. Oh, by the way, my name's Carl. And I've been doing these books we're going to be talking about for a very long time. And they're incredibly powerful and transformative. And how did we actually meet, Shemara? Do you remember?
I think it was through the Right Use of Will on the podcast that I heard from Barry. And then we connected through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So the 3 magic books we are talking about, one of them is Right Use of Will, which is quite unknown. Yeah. It's not a very popular little series, although I'm surprised how many people say, hey, I heard about it. So Right Use of Will is a set of 8 books. They are a channel material that helps us to connect to a part of us that only feels. The feelings that don't have words attached to them. The feelings that were not blessed by the mind yet. So we go into this what I call the Virgin Mary in us, the pure feminine, beautiful light, that without which the mind it's simply nuts and it cannot understand anything, even so it thinks it does. So that's on the Right Use of Will. The other book is called A Course of Love, and it's a beautiful continuation of the first book we're going to be talking about, which is A Course in Miracles. Also, well-known book, but vastly misunderstood. And why is it vastly misunderstood? Because at the beginning of A Course in Miracles, when people could not understand it, they begin to interpret it like they were used to interpret Bible or any other teachings. So it became like a discussion rather than what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to trigger you into your own light. It's supposed to take you somewhere where you can't take yourself on your own. So those are the 3 books we're going to bring in as a guide and a help and something that profoundly supports, which I personally call the ultimate trilogy.
Beautiful.
So let's begin with this, tell me your experience with these 3 books.
Well, beautifully explained. In a nutshell, for me, the Course in Miracles, it was knocking on my door for actually quite some time. I heard it everywhere. People were asking me, oh, are you reading the Course of Love or the Course in Miracles? Because by the things that, my perspective, people thought that I was reading it. So I was so curious on this book. And then one day I listened to a podcast and there the book was mentioned, and then I had a meeting with someone and they told me, oh, you definitely need to read this book. So I ordered it straight away, and yeah, I remember when it came in the mail. It's a big book. It's like a Bible, right? It's a huge book, and I just flipped through it bit by bit, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is a lot to take in, where to start, and
Mm-hmm.
and I saw lesson number 1.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, let's just start by lesson 1, and I'll move through each lesson every day. And in the meantime, I just read bits in the book and see how it goes. And for me, doing those lessons every day, and I also listened to podcasts that were connected to the lessons. Yeah, it literally blew my mind. It was like making so many connections, like all the puzzle pieces came together on what I was, I was studying myself for many, many years through many different tools and practices, and here it was like magically coming together, and it was,
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like when you speak about it, I can virtually feel that light in you that inspired you, or that got inspired through this book. And that is the purpose of Course in Miracles, particularly to ignite the genuine light in you, the genuine where it comes from within, the kingdom of heaven's within us. And it's like all it does, it's just pointing to the kingdom. It's like, no, that's not the kingdom. Oh, no, that's not the kingdom either. And then suddenly something appears and you go like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right? And suddenly it begins to reverberate and help us even to dislodge more constructs that we have about God and about what Holy Spirit is and what salvation means and all this. Actually, we should address the fact that it has this Christian terminology, which is just a major challenge to kind of overcome. But that's so perfect, because eventually every single word, including word God or Jesus or salvation, changes into an experience. Like, instead of having projection of what God is, suddenly you go like, oh my God. Exactly, like that's where that word comes from. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm connecting. I'm having a relationship with this everythingness of life.
That's definitely
right?
the word God. At first, when I opened the book, I was like, okay, my concept of God, universe, or higher self, or whatever you want to call it, whatever resonates. But I noticed that it touched something inside of me that I wasn't aware of before. And it completely made me, in some way fall in love with that presence. And instead of it being a concept, it was an experience.
Exactly. Let me jump into that straight away, because the most important part in A Course in Miracles is to seek only the experience and do not let theology take over, or it says, do not let theology to delay you. And that is like, it constantly, every sentence is doing nothing but reminding you of the truth, which is obviously not a sentence of some kind or something like, oh, now I know. It becomes this inner awakening that something within ourselves that wasn't there clearly before is suddenly clearly there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Am I speaking to it?
Yes, that was definitely it for me. It was this growing thing inside of me in a way that, it's words will never explain the experience. It has this feeling, this
exactly
experience to it that really, that really transforms your being, your perspective, your relationship with yourself, as with everything else, right? So, it to me it's some kind of magic, actually. Yeah.
It is. It is magical.
Yeah,
it is the miracle. Like in this world, miracle is a very strange thing, you know. But the true miracle is a revelation where we awaken to who we truly are. And it's, you know, it's such a cliche thing, like, you know, who we really are. But you become you. Like you become so you, and you don't have to excuse it. Because something in you is just so alive. And so, and then comes this beautiful thing, and this is what I love, what happened when we begin to share, because we begin to feel each other having that experience. And that when it turns from like the special relationship into we both experience wholeness. We're both in this, we are both in the same place where the truth is, and like we can talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, and yet I'm sitting here and I can see you, and in the same time I don't see you with my eyes, although I do see you, but I see you also with my heart, but also see you with my feeling self, which is probably the main subject that we really want to address here. Because I see you with feelings. I call it like, I made up a word because I don't find a word for it, but I call it like the imagery, because it's like a feeling image that's not an image. But it's so tangible, isn't it? It's so tangible. And then in that place we begin to unite. It comes like unity takes us into a place where the actual, it's like this exquisite intimacy, right? Like an amazing intimacy that we could be experiencing with everyone. Yeah. That makes truth between us, that one could almost weep when we feel each other in that place and feel this exquisite oneness that turns on this gladness. It just turns on this like, oh my God, I'm so relieved we meet here.
It feels like a...
Yeah? How is that from your perspective?
Totally relate. It feels like this warm hug, like something you have been desiring, like for as long as you can remember. It's that thing, right? The thing that we have been looking for outside of us in so many different ways that you experience. And that is the miracle. It's like, oh, wow. I can see me. I can see you. And there isn't a veil between it. It is in the pureness of it all. And that feels like this blend of a hug and a connection and a remembrance and this warm feeling inside that feels like, I mean, I don't know, but to me it feels like wholeness.
Yes. Well, I can help you with this one thing. What's the sound of that feeling?
That's yes, that's the sound of the universe. It's
Yes, that's it. Could you feel the you have to go somewhere else to make a sound, and that's the beauty, how we can introduce now the right use of will. Because righteous soul is all about feeling this unity, feeling God, feeling the light, feeling that it is a loving light. It's not some kind of bright light that's kind of above it all, but it's a light that joins everything, even here, makes the human and the divine as no different. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm just living in this carcass and da-da-da. No, your real body, like the body of Christ could say, or body of light, or body of love, begins to reverberate in a different frequency, right? And would you have find it difficult to actually make a sound?
To me, that was where your podcast was like, oh my God, this was like this missing piece. To me, the Course in Miracles, it is magic. It helps to see, to remember, and in some way feel. But I missed something in there that I was like, okay, well, yeah, now I know I don't know anything, right? But I know. And how am I going to walk this earth? How am I going to work with all parts? And that was where there was this spiritual connection. And actually way before, for me, there was this connection with my body, because I had the chronic illness, and that's where my healing journey actually started. So my connection with my body was maybe first the awakening, if you can speak of it in that way. And then the Course in Miracles helped me, and all the other stuff, but the Course in Miracles brought it together, where it helped me to connect spiritually with that part. And then there was this, okay, well, I feel my body and I know these things, but there was still this missing part, right? And where I actually, if I look at it now, and if I'm honest, then I think I made like this spiritual bypass with the Course in Miracles in some way, that I felt and I knew, like, I am the light of this world, right? I am, as is everyone else, and I feel it. But there is more. There is more, and I cannot put my finger on it, but I know there is more to it. And when I heard your podcast with Barry on the right use of will, that was for me like the connection, like, oh yeah, that is the part that I was bypassing in some way. I mean, I worked with feeling and with feeling my body, only the connection between my mind and the feelings, my relationship with my mind towards my feelings, I noticed were not very loving, actually.
Yes. Oh my God, now we begin to really look at the nitty-gritty of it. Yes, because it's the mind's relationship to feelings. And eventually, you will actually get to a point, if you haven't already, that the mind training is actually something that, because it's about forgiveness. But true forgiveness is not you forgiving something outside you. You're forgiving what the outside triggered in you. So every forgivee out there that we're trying to forgive, is we're only trying to forgive them because they're triggering something in us we don't want to feel. And our relationship to that feeling is not very loving. And that's the only thing that needs healing, because when we heal that feeling that they're bringing in us, they will no longer have that function and will either unite with us or will vanish. Like my real forgiveness happened where I didn't have to do anything just change my mind, connect it to what they were triggering in me, finding where is it in me, uniting in the oneness of, the at-one-ment is really like your mind and your feeling becomes one. That's when they use the capital T, capital letters for expression, like thought. Thought connected to feeling is divine because it's a thought of wholeness.
Yeah.
Right? so juicy. And then once that become one with that feeling no longer needs to magnetize a world to reflect to us. And in that sense, the world begins to vanish. It begins to vanish as a dividing or dangerous world, because we realize it was us who was magnetizing to ourselves those kind of scenarios. So for me, right use of will, so with Course of Love, I had like a mind training and a mind sort of awakening. And I'm not talking about some enlightenment. I'm talking about just a mind awakened. But it was so total that I thought, wow, this must be the thing everyone is raving about and chasing. And for a moment I thought that was so, but it wasn't. Because then with right use of will, the will awakened. Suddenly my feelings, from being feelings from history, they become the feelings of now birthing brand newness, the real creation. So suddenly, deep down in my belly, in my gut, even in my feet, it was so visceral. And it was so. It's like my bone marrow began to vibrate as light. It was just like the physicality began to dislodge its firm grip on itself, and suddenly the body became fluid. It became liquid and became golden, and I was like, now what is this thing? And then we heard this like a voice of the mother. She doesn't give speeches. She's like this exquisite ooze. Yeah, you can feel it. I can see it on your face. So yeah, it's like our conversation is so beautiful because we are so feeling each other. Like whatever you're saying, I go, yeah, yes. So it becomes that what we talk about, like becomes the experience, which then teaches us, like something new, like a revelation, something reveals ourselves to where wasn't there before, and it's that which teaches us, not our mind telling us another story, but it's that unspeakable truth and the lightening within. That's all it is. It's not to be enlightened and then walk this earth and pray and preach. It's about in this quiet recognition that as I am one with myself, so is everything else. There is one of the biggest things that happens with the Course of Miracles that says, teach only love, for that is what you are. So people learn the Course of Miracles and they begin to teach it. Rather than like teach only love, just be this love. We could be just sitting here talking about, I don't know, anything, but eventually that experience begins to seep through. It just touches everything at all times, isn't it? That
to me, when I started reading The Right Use of Will, I cried for at least an hour. I cried. I was I could finally understand the disconnection I've experienced, and that it was all within. It was all me suppressing, denying, neglecting my feelings. And I was like, oh my God, it was me, it is me. And even though I realized it is me in the Course in Miracles, this was realizing it in the feminine, which then I could finally love the feminine, like without the judgment, without the... I mean, I grew up in a world where I thought it was a curse that I was a woman, actually, because I felt there was no room for all of me, and I did not learn that, to look at it from another perspective. I really grew up in this masculine energy where, it doesn't matter what you feel, you have to show up 9 to 5, 5 days a week, or maybe 7, even better, or work hard to experience the desires that live within. And this was like dislodging all of that. It really felt like the veil dropped on my mind, judging my feelings and denying them, to like, I understand with the mind that I did this.
Yes.
And now, because I do, I can shift it. I can be there for me, for that part of me that I wasn't before. I can now hold myself and carry myself through accepting all of what is here, and there is so much to
beautiful
to connect to.
Yes, and that is, without the feminine, the real masculine doesn't really exist. That feminine, we have a patriarchal world that's punitive, rejecting, controlling, and everything. So for me, the feminine is the awakener, even in men. Like, it was only when I accepted all my feelings that the mother within, or the pure feminine within me, ignited. But it was interesting because for me as a man, it awakened my mind to a different presence. It was almost like the Kali kind of thing. It was like, it just cut my old head off. And instead of that old way of thinking, there was a presence in there. When I was going like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is something else. Right? So she awakened that. And then when that mind became present, there was the birth of the heart.
Yeah.
And then comes the Course of Love, where it goes like, okay, so now that your heart is awake, let's begin to work with that too. Because one thing like, well, once the heart is awake, then it's all good and we know. And no, you don't. Even so you do, I think there is something there that is so exquisite. That Course of Love takes that awakening of a Christ and gives it further guidance. So because the ego is so entrenched in our body, in our cells, in our everything, we don't even know the grip it has, and it does creep back in. Can have all this awakening, and then within a few years you have this ego giving you a big hug, say like, hey, we did good, hey. And next minute you're walking a funny path. So Course of Love is just like this cherry on the top, like you go through this mind training, then the will awakens, and then comes the heart. But then on top of that heart is like the heart of the heart. It's like a cherry on top. It says like, let me show you that there is a deeper path that we need to undergo, even with the open heart, because also heart holds bitterness. And you have a front of your heart that goes like, hello everyone, here I am, I'm all love. At the back of your heart, there might be lovelessness. And what is your relationship to heartlessness and lovelessness? And then it's just like this awakening to this so-called dark side of the moon, which has never been seen, and you know, the amount of viciousness that's hidden in these dark cornerstones of the heart begin to awaken. So there's a full awakening of the heart, not just the front part of the one that looks good, or one that looks holy.
The one that cannot be judged.
Yes. And then we realize that we are the sum of all things. This is my realization, that I'm sum of all things. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm ugly, I'm also magnificent.
Yes.
And I have all of them. I have all of them in me. And I no longer eat from a tree of good and evil because I have both in me, but they're united. So my rage is beautiful. My hatred is delicious. So the dark side becomes that part of the creation that receives light. And that's when it gets really juicy, doesn't it? When suddenly the dark opens up. And actually he says it in A Course in Miracles, like, when you're willing to hide nothing, when we're willing to go like, hey, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm ugly, I'm also magnificent, where the real communication begins, because there is nothing to hide, and that takes us into that holy communion. We're holy communing where everything is seen, and with that comes our true light into the game. And oh my God, that's, to me, is like, oh. And then when I feel it in myself, it's delicious. But my God, when I feel it with a brother or sister, holy cow indeed, you know, that's when it's like, now I no longer just have an experience that I can talk about, but I have an experience I can share, and I can feel in the others that they get me without me talking about it. And I get them, like, I can just look at you and I'm going like, yep, that's that place.
You recognize. Right? Yeah. Yes.
You recognize the oneness, and you just become indescribably happy.
Yeah, accepting all colors, all flavors, all parts. Yeah.
But I must say, you know, we're talking about the ultimate trilogy, but I have to say that all of this, the books, are kind of like internal journeys. And I feel very fortunate that I encountered the work of David Data. And what David Data did for me, he took all this into practices and said, okay, now stand in front of a woman as a man and walk your talk. Get your reflection. Get your 100% reflection, you know. Are we truly uniting? Or do you have a little reflection for me where I'm blind? Where I can't see even though I think I do? And that's the holy relationship, when a man has enough gut to stand in front of a woman and say, okay, how does it feel on your side?
Yeah.
And you're capable of saying, I'll show you the feeling, and then I get the feeling. I don't get necessarily the verbal. Verbal is beautiful too. But when I get you through showing me the feeling where you ooze it.
Yes.
Because feelings don't talk, right? Mind, thoughts have words. Feelings don't have words. Feelings have ooze, radiance, and they express through sound and vibration. And if my feelings are vibrating, I can hear you. When your feelings are vibrating, you can hear me. And we're speaking in the language of Lemurians, where there was no words. There was only this empathic communication of feelings, where I feel something and you go, yep. And then I feel that you feel it. And then you feel it that I feel it. And now the communication begins, which is bouncing from one another and reflecting each other's beauty or the is profound understandings. And oh my God, stop me from
No,
talking.
it is beautiful as well that you called about the Lemurians, and because to me we live in a world where it is mostly from the mind, and from the yang, from the talk, from the masculine, and I believe we, of course, we need to embody and embrace all parts, but we are in so much, need, or we can use the divine feminine, more space, more sound, more not talking per se, right? So we can create the space for ourselves to feel and to communicate from that connection, instead of the need to fill the gap, to fill the hole with words or with doing things, keep on doing, instead of just take the space, take the feminine energy and sit with it and tune in and build the relationship with that part and all parts. But for me, creating a safe space for the feminine to be remembered, where shame and guilt can dissolve, I don't know if that is the right word, but it loosens the grip, since those feelings are, well, as we know, no true feelings. They're the layers of the ego, the grip, the control. I believe that is so vital for where we are at right now, to move from a lot of people awakening in the mind, I believe. And now it's about time to move down.
Yes, and it's such an important part, and it does appear, the upper awakening does appear so complete, and there's nothing else to do, and it's all done, and da. And I was in that illusion for many years, but I could not help to see a reality that wasn't aligning with the full awakening. It's like, if I'm having this full awakening, how come I'm still seeing what I'm seeing? And that's where Course of Love comes in, with this very juicy thing already in a prelude. He begins to address this, let me see if I can find it.
No.
Do you mind if I read from A Course of Love something?
I'm rereading the book again.
There is a real...
Yes.
Are you? I know, me too. We're actually now translating it into officially translating it into Czech language, which is my original language. And God, what a journey that is. But let me just find this one section, which is really beautiful. It's from Prelude, and it says, "Oh, child of God, you have no need to try at all. You need not be burdened or grow tired or weary. You who want to accomplish much good in the world, realize that only you can be accomplished. You are here to awaken from your slumber." Watch this. You are here not to awaken to the same world. And that's what happens. You can have an awakening, which is like, wow. But the world is still the same or slightly different. It says, you are here not to awaken to the same world, a world that seems a little more sane than before, but still governed by insanity, a world in which it seemed to possible to help a few others, but certainly not all others, but to awaken to a new world. If all that you see changed within your world is a little less insanity than before, then you have not awakened, but still are caught in a nightmare your ego has made. By choosing to reject yourself, you have chosen to try make sense of the nightmare rather than to awaken from it. This will never work. Well, I know, it's like, what? Okay, now, where's the missing link? That was like, and I read this after reading Course of Love maybe 7 times. I went to the prelude again. I'm going like, whoa.
It's powerful.
Oh. Yes. Because the old way of thinking created this world we see. And we can't fix it because the cause of it was somewhere else. We can't uncause it, but we can begin to create a new world. And this is all about the creating of the new. And that does not happen without feelings. And particularly the virgin feelings, the Virgin Mary in us is part of ourselves that has feeling that has not been named yet. Like if you say, oh, I'm feeling this and that, well, that's your old feelings that you think you know. But the virgin feelings are the ones you have not met yet.
It's new.
And they don't come easy, because unless that masculine presence, even in a woman, is awakened to a point where she no longer sees the patriarchal world, because her mind is no longer patriarchal. And if you see patriarchal world out there, you're seeing it and you're searching for it. Let me find those then that I can then attack. It's like, yeah, that's them. No, you will search for them, and what you search you will find. So comes a time where my divine feminine has dispelled it's almost like when I look at my own mother, all I see is divinity. When I look at my own father, all I see is exquisite presence. Not the little karma drama that he had to play out for me, but I see his essence of being, who he was. I see my mother as whole, as holy, right? And so means my feminine is divine. My feminine awakens my masculine divine. And those two, when they marry, they birth a child called Christ.
Yeah.
And that is the second coming of Christ. And then it becomes a baby. It's just a little baby that was born out of very little. It didn't need a nice house. It didn't need a good car. Just births very simply in a stable. And then mother has to sustain it, which is our feelings have to nurture it and support it and embrace it and cradle it, because it is a baby. But also our mind has to protect it from insane thinking of the ego mind. So instead of having the Herod running your head, just from Bible, that character, right? Your divine love, your divine presence holds the guidance, which is not of this world. Just like Jesus said, like, hey guys, my kingdom is not of this world. Yeah, let's nail him. It's like, let's see what his kingdom is. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, the kingdom of heaven is not of this world, because its causality is different. So there's like a whole massive undoing in this kind of, still a story, but it's a true story. It's a true story of second coming of Christ, which is who? You. Come as a Christess. to get out of that to get out of that patriarchal, sort of Christian mumbo jumbo, unspeakable madness into the genuine, where you meet your own Christ within through your pure feminine essence, which is feeling.
And for me, this is unconditional self-love. This is, and it's a journey. It's what you said, the cradling, and to really be present when the feelings come, and not only when you sit in meditation, right? It's out there when you are walking the street, when you are doing the when you are walking this earth.
This is where Course in Miracles is so superior, and I hate using that word, but it's so superior because it teaches you to be constantly in this presence. God goes with me wherever I go. That love presence, that absolute thing goes with you wherever you go. Every single lesson teaches you to be in a high state of meditation wherever you find yourself. So there's no like special time when I sit and now I have light, as far as nobody's snoring next to me.
When no one is annoying me, I'm good. I'm the light of this world. Yeah.
Yes, Yeah, or you sit on top of the mountain and you come to the village and go like, oh, these guys are so unawake.
These people.
It's like, hello, who is seeing what? Right. So that's the beauty of that. But I must say that I just want to bring that back, that the work of David Data, do you know that work?
I don't, no.
Oh my God. Oh, I gotta send you some stuff. This is exquisite. So what David Data did, it's like his books are brilliant, you will see. It's like an amazing writer. It's profound presence, what he has to offer. Because he brings it here. He brings it, okay, face each other. Hello. And then so I remember doing this workshop or just an evening, and some woman standing in front of me, and I'm going, well, how present am I? And I already had a bit of light experiences, and I thought, I was walking on the water. And it's like, so out of 10, how present do I feel to you? And she goes, well, 3. 3. There's a bit of a hit in my little existence. Like, what do you mean? Can't you see the light? And she was really good. I didn't say that, but she went like, you have a lot of light in your head and upper areas, but I can't really feel it in your body. I can't really feel it deep down. I'm going like, why? I wouldn't even know what that means. And I said like, well, you gotta have to take this breath. And I said, well, I don't even know how to take a breath like you're talking about. But she took a breath. So this is the feminine reflection. Because she knows way more. See, you know way more about presence than you know about openness. I guarantee you. Because you can't see your openness. I can. I can't see my presence, but you can. And this is where we're valuable for each other. This is where the true value of a masculine and feminine. Because I could take you places you've never been. And you can bring me a presence I did not know existed. And I don't mean like, I could say, okay, I've done this now for 20 years about presence. And I'm thinking like, yeah, I can be really present. You can take me next level, right? Because there is always a little blind spot that the man can't see because he can't see himself. And same with the opening. And so this woman took this breath, and I went, oh, you mean like, you mean like this? And as soon as I did it, she like lit up. And she goes, now that's 9. And I go, wow. This is a quantum work. This took me from place where I thought I'm going to have to study now presence or something, to a direct being right there And then beauty about it is thank you for the practice, and you move to the next partner. So I move to the next partner and I take a deep breath. And I go, how present? And she goes, oh my God, right? I was like, oh. And then like it stayed. It's like, aha. And then each woman added just a tiny little bit more of something that I could not see.
Yeah.
And it was very beautiful. This work for me, that completes the trilogy. It's still a trilogy, but it brings it directly into your relationship, particularly your relationship with your intimate partner if you have one. Yeah. And your kids will reflect it, because your kids are the Christ. They're your heart outside you. They're the physical manifestation of your heart. Oh my God. Oh, you in for something profound. I found that work did integrate.
When you share on this, I'm like, wow, because the thing that I was, missing, or I felt there is still a hole somewhere with all of this, was like, okay, how am I going to practice this in the 3D? Like, instead of it being like feelings and all of this. And I mean, I practice with my feelings the 8 steps, and that's all amazing, and that's gold. Only to do it in relationship, that is where we can truly experience ourselves, right? It is in communion, in relationship, that we see our blind spots, where we see all of us. Please share. I look forward to dive into it.
Actually, we could even throw in a little practice for couples. Can even happen without no couple, when people can really want to find their true masculine, like their divine masculine and their divine feminine. I found this you know how we have the 8 steps to how to unite with your own feelings. These are like 4 little things where you can do, and I know this sounds a bit corny, like 4 steps to whatever, but they're so powerful, because like you said, the most important thing in a relationship is safety. And you can't really show what's there unless you feel safe. So first step is always like, how can we establish safety together? And it's this simple. It's like, how safe do you feel with me right now as I am out of 10? Yeah.
Yeah, like an 8.5. Like I really feel safe. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I needed, like, the lower number, the better for a man. The man who's awake, give me the lowest number so you can help me to see what I can't see. So my first question straight away goes like, what is the first thing I could do for you to feel safer?
Yeah, maybe it is taking an extra breath.
So good, because I was just holding my breath just then.
Yeah.
Yes. And what happens as soon as you feel it, you say, oh, that's 9. Like, you got to give the man, because he's going to now, as a man, I'm going to search. What's this thing that's... Because I do want you to feel safe. Even so we hardly know each other, but I want you to feel safe, because I know what it brings. It dismantles the blocks to love's presence, right? It opens up the channels beyond our imaginings, right? So I do anything, right? So as soon as you feel the difference, you got to say there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm searching and searching and searching. What is it? What kind of breath is it, right? And when you say that one, you know, and you go like, aha. And then you say, that's 9, for example.
Yes.
And sometimes you get to a point where it's just 9 and it doesn't move. It's like, oh, there is nothing else. And then I ask another question, and that one would be, is there anything you can do or change to feel safer with me?
Beautiful.
Yes. That's very beautiful. Because then you see where you're holding something, right? And as soon as you see it, you go like, ah. And suddenly you go like, oh my God, this is 10. Yes, exactly. That kind of breath comes in. And suddenly there is a different level of uniting. There's a different flow. Can you feel it?
Yes.
And so we build each other to 10, then we'll do the other way around. It's like, you go, Cole, how safe do you feel with me? And what is the first thing I could do to for you to feel safer, right? And we build this. We keep going until this 10-10. There's a 10-10. There is like all your chakras go vroom, and they open and they beam, and we can read each other. And we haven't even started yet. It's amazing. Try with your partner. You're going to be blown away. And don't be surprised when men often say they feel less safer than women.
Yeah.
When I do couples, they often go like, how safe? I go, 1. They're so shy. It's like, stay there. This is really good. This is exactly what we need. Because masculine, if it goes deep enough, it's terrified of feminine. Ever since Miss Mommy times, you know, terrified. When Mom gives you this emotional look, you're like, okay, Mommy, I'll behave. You know, Father, he can smack you and go like, oh, God, that hurt. But when Mom pulls this emotional kind of like, that gives you that look.
That's painful, right?
That's atomic bomb. It's very painful and it can actually cause impotency in men already from the mother. He will lock some energies in himself where he will never be able to function sexually properly.
Because the safety from the mom, that's not there.
Yes. So this is what you can start building, so the safety becomes again. So you're no longer protecting and you're no longer contracting. The next one is trust, which is very similar process. How much do you trust me? Let's say you say 6. What is the first thing I need to do? And you say, well, you have to shut up for a moment or something. The trust comes in. So we build trust. I just want to do this fast. The next thing is very powerful. And that one is presence for man and openness for woman. So I'll ask you, how present do I feel for you? Just shoot the number.
9. Yeah.
9. What's the first thing I need to do? Be 10.
Take another breath. Super deep.
Yes. And as soon as I take it, and even you, because it's truth, you know, it's true. So you're helping me to go, oh gosh, I'm not really breathing deeply enough, right? And then you go, and then the woman goes like, what do I need to do to be more open?
What do I need to do to be more open?
Yeah. Let go of everything you think you know.
Yeah.
Right? And as soon as you do it, it's like, you know. Or it could be few things. Usually it's about holding. Like sometimes I use my body as a barometer and go like, when I feel tension, I will go, ooh, maybe relax your upper legs a bit more. And you go like, oh, I didn't know I was holding there, right? So it's usually about body being tight and physical.
Tension.
And kind of protected in some way.
The funny thing is, because of the light, I'm like leaning forward, and I feel like to really be open, I need to like like lean into my body and be completely open, but then
Yes.
it's completely dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful. So can you see that's how we develop? You help him with his presence and he helps you with the openness.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that comes next is sharing gifts. It's like now that I'm present, you say, I'm receiving the gift of your...
Well,
What would you say?
to me, the fact that you're present, the fact that you are checking in with the safety and reflects my openness, that is a huge gift in and of itself.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you say it like this. I know it's a formula, but it works powerfully because feminine is to express through feelings. So you say, I'm receiving the gift of your presence. And it makes me feel...
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. See, now you're oozing a feeling at me. And even so, you are 15,000 kilometers away from me, wherever you find yourself, roughly. It feels like I fully get that feeling, a wash over me, which then increases my presence, because I have something to be present for. How beautiful, huh? And then it's my turn. I receive a gift of your innate capacity to reflect feelings to me. And a man doesn't say makes me feel. Man usually says it makes me want to. Yeah. So it makes me want to be even more present. It makes me want to offer the gift of masculine presence that's so missing on this globe.
It's the action part. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you say, yes, it's the action. And then how does that make you feel what I said? And you say, oh, and now I'm receiving the gift of your...
receiving the gift of the wholeness. And it makes me feel...
And it makes me feel...
I can completely enjoy the here and the now, the energies. Yeah.
Yes. And I can only say, because this is a podcast, I can only say that your face completely shapeshifted and your radiance not tripled, but quadrupled on steroids. And so, and like in 10 minutes, and I've pushed it and reduced it to this like a quick practice. But this, well established and well practiced, will increase relationship and intimacy to a level unheard of.
I can only
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this can beautifully happen between everyone. And this is how we create this holy relationship, or relationships of wholeness with all of us, so we can be fully transparent. And man can bring their gift as the masculine presence they are. A woman can bless it with their radiance and receptivity to this presence. So we're actually calling this like a God and his love. The man becomes a God presence, but woman becomes his love,
his muse,
his reflection. Yeah, where there is a completion, when there's a real wholeness. So the man is not just dissociated in his little light that he thinks he has in his head somewhere, like, oh, my mind's awake, right? Where his feelings do the same to him. When he thinks his thoughts, he's feeling a blessing, those thoughts, or not. Because when he thinks crap, his will goes, see you later. There is no place for me. I am on my way. I'm going to look somewhere where there is some light. Thank you very much. And you can't fool this feminine light. You just can't.
No.
So this is the body of this is like a quick summary of that body of work that brings this to practice, when it becomes tangible, where it's no longer this little dude sitting in his light and people are like creeping around him trying to suck on it. This is where we all awaken to this genuine presence, and we delight in the reflection, no matter how good or bad. It
brings this equality straight away.
Absolutely. And now we are really talking, because if there is no an absolute equality, we're just very much beginning in the beginning of evolution.
Wow, I cannot wait to start working with this. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely beautiful. So, I don't know, we're going for almost an hour.
I was just about to say we can probably go on for hours with this.
We could, and we could make it a series. We could make a series. We could do A Course in Miracles like in its totality, and then we can go do a Righteous Will and give it a real value for what it has to offer. And then we could do one on A Course of Love, and then we can even deepen this other work.
Amazing. It feels amazing. Yeah. To me, it's about sharing this in relationship, right? Not from a place of, oh, look what I found out and I need to share it. It's truly in this relationship, and I would love that.
Okay, but maybe we'll see how we go. We put this one together, and then we'll see what happens next.
Thank you so much, Cole. Thank you for your time and your presence and the wisdom and everything you shared.
And thank you equally.
Equally, yeah.
Equally, absolutely equally. Yes. Because without that equality...
there's no wholeness.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's so beautiful because, people go like, whoa, you can't compare. No, because we have different gifts. But in sharing them, we unite. In putting ourselves above and making something less, we crucified ourselves. We're the one who hanging on a cross thinking we have achieved something, but hey, God, why have you forsaken us?
You did.
You've forsaken yourself. Don't go out and tell people the kingdom of God is not of this world, because they will crucify you.
Just experience it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you so much for this delightful, and I know I take over sometimes, but I just so love this. I so love this trilogy, and I have to say, I've been priming myself to do this trilogy, but I still am not ready to start recording it, and maybe it's gonna come in different way than I thought, and it could be it. So thanks for this. I so much appreciate your invitation, and I know we've been preparing, and I know you have a little baby or two. One. Well, I know what that's like, so I know how big that is. So I appreciate your finding this time and space and opening this exquisite forum.
Well, with all the love inside of me, with all of me, I truly love this and enjoyed this. So, and I would love to plan the next. See how this comes together. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Cole. And
Thank you, Shemara.
We'll talk soon.